Hey there, it's Damar, and welcome to my channel here at Between the Pencil and Me. Today, I am painting on some pumpkins, with Halloween just being like 2 days away. I want to go with a Nightmare Before Christmas theme. I did sketch out a few ideas. I have Sally's patches over here from her dress, and then I have Jack, or maybe Jack's suit. Not quite sure which I'm gonna do just yet, but I might go with Jack. And we have the mayor. I'm gonna do his face, one on each side of the pumpkin, so you can flip it back and forth. And let's get this pack open so we can see what we got to work with. Any day now that you'd like to get those pumpkins out, Damar? It looks like we have quite a bit of variety. Some big ones, some tall ones, some small ones, some oddly shaped ones. But I think I know what I'm gonna use for which one, so let's just get started. I'm gonna start small and simple. So I'm gonna go with Jack's skeleton for this first one. We're gonna do his skull. I'm just gonna use some paint pens and some acrylic paints to paint on all these pumpkins. For this first one, I wanted to do something easy, a little warm-up, you can say. So I thought Jack was perfect for this since the pumpkins are already white and I just gotta draw his face on, basically. Drawing on the pumpkin was definitely an interesting surface. There was a lot of nooks and crannies on it that really made it kind of hard to draw on. But thankfully this one was nice and simple. So really I was just getting a feel for what it was like drawing on a pumpkin before I really jumped into anything with more detail. Next, I wanted to do the patches on Sally's dress. I debated using more muted colors like Tim Burton does, but I decided to go with the more vibrant one that you usually see on like the costumes and stuff like that. And for Sally, I'm gonna use the biggest pumpkin in the pack. I thought it'd be pretty perfect to display the patches just because it's big, round, nothing too oddly shaped about it. And of course, we're gonna start off sketching like always. And I'm just gonna draw in the patches all around the pumpkin. I definitely want to make sure that they're different sizes and shapes. I don't want them to all just be plain old squares. The mechanical pencil that I was using to sketch was a bit too thin. The pumpkin's kind of soft, so if you press too hard, it just starts indenting and going into it. So I swapped it out for a regular softer pencil. And it was so much easier to see what was going on after I went over the lines. It did smudge a little more, so I had to be a bit more careful. But after I sketched out all the patches, it's time for the fun part. We're gonna get to painting. As I started placing the colors down, I'm thinking about where I'm gonna be placing each color. I want to make sure that none of them are touching. Well, none of the same colors are touching. And I know what you're about to say here, but they are. You just said you were trying to avoid the two colors touching. No, no, no. They are not touching. They just happen to be really close. And so I'm just gonna let you enjoy watching me block in some of these color patches. And now that it's all blocked in, it's time for the detail. The details on the patches are actually quite simple. Most of them are just some form of lines and circles. So the process was pretty tedious, but it wasn't hard at all. So I do the detail on the pumpkin, making sure that I'm changing around what's going on in the colors, because some colors do have more than one pattern to them. And after I do all the patterns on each of the patches, I of course do the stitching on it because they're patches stitched together. And here's a lame ass attempt at a cool transition. We're gonna move on because we are doing the mayor now. And I was pretty excited for him. I think he came out pretty cool at the end. I have to say he's probably one of my favorites. I think when it came to the mayor, I had a little more trouble doing the sketching just because the mayor has a face, so there's gonna be more details in his design versus the patches and Jack's head, which really were super simple to do. I do end up erasing it a few times and redrawing it a few times, and even when I thought I had a good design, I went to go paint it, and let's just say that I ended up redrawing it again. So I'm gonna save you the hassle of watching me redraw this like 5 times, even though like the design is super simple and I had no issues drawing it on paper. But you know, with this weird surface of the pumpkins, it's just something you got to get used to. I'm used to drawing and painting on flat surfaces, so this was definitely interesting and different. And my battery died. So you missed a little some, but thankfully I didn't get too far before noticing, so all good here. And I do a redraw of the mayor's face. I'm glad I did it because I think it came out better this time around. I don't know, the mouths were just really janky. They weren't coming out too right. And on the other side, I end up just going over the features and making some small adjustments before I start putting any paint down. And man, y'all gonna hate how much I forget to hit record button. Woo! Happens a few times, but bear with me. I'm still getting back into the swing of things. Anyways, what do you guys think of the face so far? I think it's coming out pretty good. I had to switch back and forth between the paint markers and the acrylic paints just because I was pretty limited on the colors that I had for the paint markers. I'd definitely love to pick up some more, hopefully higher quality. So, you know, I got my eyes on you, pastas. So now that the faces are painted, I had to make a little hat to go on top of him. And I thought it would be really cute to incorporate the stem of the pumpkin that was already there. So I ended up just using construction paper and cutting out a circle, making a little slit so the stem can go through it. And I glued that sucker in place so it wouldn't go anywhere. And here's how the mayor turned out. I think he's super cute, looks really great. And then we got one more. I was originally gonna do 3 pumpkins, but Something about this shape was calling my name. Why, you might ask? Look at it. Just look. It's Oogie Boogie. The shape was totally perfect for his head. Anyways, let's mix up some burlap sack kind of color and get going with his first coat. After I put that first coat down, the color seemed a bit dark, so I ended up lightening it a bit before putting down a second layer. And after it dried, I forgot to press record. Yes, I know. I told you were gonna start hating me. I keep forgetting to press that damn record button. I promise I'll get there. Moving on. I drew in the seams on the side of his head, and I did leave some areas a bit thicker than others, and you'll see why in just a sec. And I basically just do the same thing on the other side. And once I have the seams drawn in on both sides, I go in and draw in the stitches, making sure to skip the little spaces that are thicker and just stitching everything else along the line. While I wait for that to dry, I go into Oogie Boogie's face and just darken up some of the features like the mouth and the eyes. And once it's all dry, I'm gonna add in some worms. And I do end up adding the worms in all of the little openings I had left on the seams. And I do make them all a different color just to be a little more fun. You know, it's just basically brown or tan. And now let's take a look at all of the pumpkins I made today. Let me know in the comments down below which ones ended up being your favorite. I think mine would have to be Oogie Boogie and then the mayor. I think they both came out really cute. I just love the worms that are coming out of Oogie Boogie, like such a mood. Let me know which one's yours. Make sure you like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. See ya!